Hi everybody, this is Katie. Welcome to episode 10 of Enchanted Emerald Isle. Today we're going to be working on the secret deep forest leprechaun gold stash of treasure hoard that is going to be hidden in the middle of the forest on the island. I'm coming up here to the next layer of cliff. You'll see quite a few of the rocks have spawned up here in the area, and that is because I have covered every other spot of the island with something, either that clover pattern or tree or flower or object. There's no space left for the rocks to go, and so they've all spawned up here. We're going to talk a lot more about how I do rock gardens in the game, but first let's talk a little bit about the map and why I'm up here and how we got to this place to begin with. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the map. With the map pulled up, you'll see that I'm working in the top right-hand corner of the island today, where in episode 3 of this series, I created a shamrock style in the actual land itself. If you're curious about the process I used for doing such a large terraforming project, then I recommend you check out episode 3. For today, I just wanted to show you where I was at here in the middle, so as we get started on the island, you'll know why I've decided to put the leprechaun's treasure here. I'm breaking up all the rocks that are currently on this particular level by just eating a piece of fruit and hitting them with a shovel. I needed them out of the way so that I could start working. I put down a little path so I could figure out where the middle, at least in general, of the shamrock was, and then I started putting down a few of these climbing walls because they're going to be the start of a backdrop for the treasure. And then I switched over to the dirt pattern for a very particular reason. I'm identifying where I want the rocks to go when I am done spawning everything. Here I'm going back and forth. You can see I'm trying to put the rocks so that they're fairly central in the middle of the shamrock, and I was moving them up and down a little bit to figure out where I wanted them. Once they're in place, it is a tricky thing to move, so I usually make sure that they're exactly where I want them before I move forward. But at the stage that I am with the island right now, it's not nearly as hard as it is when you're in the middle of creating an island. So I'm going to go through the outside of the shamrock right now, and I'm just going to be planting flowers and trees and bushes and just generally filling up a bunch of forested area. And while I do this, I want to talk a little bit more about this rock garden and what I would recommend. If you're creating a rock garden in the middle of your design process, then you would usually have to go through and put either objects or clothing mannequins out everywhere so that the rocks aren't capable of spawning in other spaces. If you wait instead, like I have here, to create the rock garden as the very last creative project on your island, it's actually very easy to do because there's only so many spaces left on the island for the rocks to go. When a rock is broken, you will respawn 1 rock per day, and that rock is going to want all 9 spaces. It's predetermined in the game so that you already have an idea of where that rock is capable of going. Here you can see I'm running through all of that forest area. I finished putting the clover down everywhere, and now that I have everything covered, I went ahead and deleted the path because I don't need the rocks to go on top of them. Now I went a few days forward, and you can see that the rocks have spawned. I decided to go ahead and change the rocks so that they went into a slightly different position instead of having them in a straight line, because when I did so they looked too straight. They looked too straight. I decided to do a little bit of a pattern where they were grouped together, and so that's what I ended up with the rocks. And all the forest you can see is grown up, and the weeds and trees and flowers and everything are in place. And so now I'm just layering the green foam booth, mostly because I liked the green, the simple panels, the wooden bookshelves, and the climbing walls back and forth in a layer. Again, this isn't meant to look like anything particular. I just wanted a backdrop for the treasure that looked kind of unique and interesting and had really good diversity in color and texture, which is why I've selected the items that I have, both because they match the color theme and for their different sizes and textures. The wooden simple panel that I use, this brown one here with the wood pattern, is one of the custom patterns that you can use without needing a custom design. And it is a beautiful pattern, so it's automatically included in the game. After getting the basic boards down in place, I decided to add in a bunch of plants. I wanted some greenery to be pushed in around the area, and then I start working down. So from the back forward, I put together the Leprechaun's treasure. So the plants are nice and tall. I've used them in place for that reason. And then I start thinking about the decorations that I want to put in place that are tall and put them in the back and then move forward. Here you can see I've used the golden casket. I know that's a different culture, but it's gold, so I don't think the leprechaun cares. And even though it's a shorter item, it's further in back because I know I'm going to put items on top of it. I'm using the pirate barrels, both the regular one and the sideways barrel, and just a wooden bench and a couple wooden logs in a few places because I wanted some really good space to drop golden nuggets down. I went ahead and traded for hours. I traded for hours so that I could get more of the pirate treasure chests. These were a little expensive and I only had a couple of them myself, and it was faster for me to go on to Nookazon and trade for them from other people than it was to sit and try and farm them out of Pascal by diving in the water. I did manage to get quite a few of them. I actually got more than I needed once I got going because I found at least one person that was selling several. I do a lot of online trading, either through Discords or on Nookazon, and as long as you know what you're looking for, I find that it's usually a pretty kind and easy thing to do within the Animal Crossing community. I went ahead and dropped some torches in here just to be a little bit decorative, even though I knew I probably wouldn't be visiting this area during the night, and then took the golden nuggets out and started separating them because I wanted to drop individual golden nuggets everywhere. And I mean everywhere. I literally stood in the middle of the area and dropped a golden nugget in every single spot and every surface that it would possibly hold. And I really enjoyed the way that the rock garden here came together with the rocks in this orientation instead of a line because they better fit the gold treasure hoard style space that I was working in, which is why I made that choice. Let's take a look at our final area. Here you can see I'm at the incline in the entrance, and as you walk through, almost the entire space up here on the Shamrock is covered in forest. Just trees, all different trees, a few flowers, and lots of weeds back and forth so that the whole area is really meant to be out of town, out of sorts. It's not supposed to be really populated very much. But down here in the middle, then, you sneak out of the forest and you come upon the jackpot. Here we have the horde from the leprechauns, and I did go ahead and put a couple gnomes in here just because they look like they could be a leprechaun friend, maybe, guarding the treasure. But everything just covered in gold everywhere. I went ahead and spun a couple of the treasure chests around because I thought they looked better with a little bit more variety that way. Other than the treasure hoard in the middle and the forest around it, that was everything for the tour today. I hope you found something useful here and that you continue creating in this game. Until next time, have the best Animal Crossing day.